Abusia Dr. Kwesi Nduom Akasa. Ejina enim say during the time of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo Addo and Dr. Bambudu Bawumia wa bra omo ye omo adwene say omo be ye banking sector cleanup edin omo de to so no na omo kire say banks ahodo ni bebre no ebi wo hono mo a omo licenses na omo use no endi mu sa so e na ebi wo hono mo a sika a wo so omo de to ho na eboa na ni nyina no hye banks ne den no sa sika no omu ni da ho e ma omu kan ya de kosi se banks ni bi wo ho mpo a government of Ghana sika hyem anytime a omu di sika be hye banks ni nyina no na sika no ahye a enya asenketo a eti as part of omu ideas a omu de solve sa issues no omu kire se banks ni bi wo ho no de a omu license omu de operate as banks no omo gye edifiri omo nsem saa so na ebi mu wo hono mo a omo keka omo bo mu banks ni bebre omo ka omo bo mu enei omo ye consolidated bank Ghana omo da so a omo ye adwuma wo oman Ghana mu ha enti during 2024 a amanyoku NPP ni NDC omo campaign no na NDC amanyoku no under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama promise say Kwesi Nduom no oni GN Bank license a NPP amanyuku no agi free ne nsem no mo promise say so mo ba sa license no omo be sanso e ama no ama na timi a operate as bank ema even yeto abani wie ya His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ene Dr. Kwesi Nduom ekohia ya no omo din sawoso no o kan di kire ni plain say license ne de enye den a o de license ne be ma no ama no asanso a operate na 2024 His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promises ano Dr. Kwesi Nduom campaign bi o wase o ye de boa NDC amanyuko no mutimi wi ni elections ne de ono nso eje na afamu de de boa NDC amanyuko no fast forward abusia 2026 amanfo bebre expect say anka Dr. Kwesi Nduom license a wase NDC amanyuko no de ma no nanka by now de nanka nensa aka ne license na operate na enya asenketo na nanu ada ene beto odwa say request o me de call ye see emfa Dr. Kwesi license ema no o ma rule say license no o mo fama ne de emfa ma no ochina ne no ena ama Dr. Kwesi Nduom na ankasa nso aba abonten aba be kasa finally secret won bia de okatachi afrifa enso a breaking nyina no e de ato ho no mu a enya asenketo ndi abusia ye ka TV so nie yebebo awram na ensem ahodo a ekoso ewo honyum nyina no yakwa akotie ne de ba de aka nyina no ato amso
say ya no mkekan ya na Papa Kwesi Nduom agitu mu no oyire ne ho campaign ma omo ene me no ka say Papa Kwesi Nduom killnet abina scam no men's go de beti omuka 1 year down the lane yentrehwe Papa Kwesi Nduom ye de license be ma no but it appears license bi any baby e be ma Papa Kwesi Nduom be say mo ma bre na bre no a be kire nkrofo bi hyebre and I'm sure they can tell that ene goodwill ne ye de ma omo ne honeymoon a mama ka se ye for ma no honeymoon ne ya ba wiye you say no bibia mfa ma omo biu
bank ye nyina yenim ehonsem but the governor of the Bank of Ghana and yenka no obi antiase say GN Bank ehonsensem the current governor wamukra na starting process no say wombe revoke GN Bank lances Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama why governor and check what did deputy governor da ewo kroma ebra na shiri wo honom no ye deputy na woman starting process no so many letters and warnings and omodia akoma GN Bank ebra the capital adequacy ratio as required by the deposit and deposit taking at at 930 no the capital adequacy ratio no eni kwan se ebro 10%. Nanso enipa da sani bang. Ebro 10% ekwodi a na kyese wo mo musika wo honom no wo pese ukun omo wo mbeba na sika ne na ho. Nti wo mo na start Tama no ye deputy on any boss. Dr. Nasiru. Omonas initiative process, you know. Anti keno for that tanum de biade. Ebe toa process na because na banks in be wa ha. Na Bank of Ghana because under the specialized and deposit taking act, you know. At 9:30 no se bank ni bi ne capacity ni bafama ya free bi liquidity support ya hwa oniama muana se Bank of Ghana ne hu se ye betima ma liquidity support. This liquidity support is money pa money ya tamma se o ye niema o lances se fa ye adwuma na mo ye hwa o niema mu ano wo ya abafam ya mama ubetima dwiragu enti ye be ma liquidity support. Most of the banks UT Bank, Unibank, Capital Bank, Mumayan kano krese o mine mumisa o mo say 2014-2015. Yama omo liquidity support. Anytime Bia Bank Biano, the Bank of Ghana. Ebe ma liquidity support to Biana trese wakwapem enti wa mama ube kumu nkrofo sa na kire. Bank Bia Bank of Ghana bebam abeka se ye ma liquidity support no na kyese wakọ atrahye o da red line mu nti se Bank of Ghana bam Capital Bank ye ma omo liquidity support 400 million ankosiaga. Unibank ye ma omo 400 million on 2 occasions 2014-2015 ankosiaga. Nti samuye how many times ana mo pese Bank of Ghana di Ghana fosika mo jije nkrofo deposit anu modi na Bank of Ghana di afa ye to ayetua no de abre o mo say liquidity support mo nyenkata so nti ye ma mo sika mo di nkrofo sika na Bank of Ghana ba be fa ye to ayetua na sika no mo de amam ne mo de akata so eno ne ye frɛ ne liquidity support ono na jije nkrofo sika obema na gini yie se abaya me kwa me nsa beka no no mo de toto adano wa brechi no mo de toto Ferrari Lexus car ba ko no the same Lamborghini producer body naturem Lamborghini mototo Ferrari Lamborghini ni luxurious cars akese musia no makonkon eso na bang negu eti mo magi sika na dia mototo Ferrari ni ne keka ho no na Bank of Ghana fa ye to ayetua no dia ba be wuram so ye kata so ye mpese depositors no ya ye sika ho no ombe hu se bank ne kofam eno na di liquidity support no ba no liquidity support no Bank of Ghana de call because on pese ya ye sika da ho no ye yamba hye ebi kura timi fa dro ya dan enum wu nti Bank of Ghana ma liquidity support ba ko wan ye won adwuma yi a enemra na basa ye revoke lances ni ya revoke nti eno nti keno forata dia wu ye nsi na bo mo nsi na bo ya ma liquidity support ba ko mienu enan na no mo dia ye politics na do aban na ba be gu bank na ba be enne bosha mo sheye na me no na me no me tie na no na me hu na manya andisifo no binom including lawyers no ma ko radio so ye ba monto aba na ye be make sure say banks ni nyina ye be restore am lances no and I ask myself ye rewane company ye consolidate company parent company say aguko nti aguko a ye rewane company no come to liquidation na kwa ye revoke lances no ni ya come to liquidation na na say ya consolidate sa company ba ko be da restore ne lances I me utie binu utie no wabisa say company law no musua ne sen company law no musua ne sen ah musua ya pass ye de na ya say bisa because utie nkrofo binum legal background na no de support I say you better restore you be no utimu te sankofo no nyina no omu program omu company law oman pass papa bia o restore there ya consolidate ade no nyina ba ye no consolidated bank entinu we na wo kwose ne ba omu nyina ba di campaign achi lances beba no lances in free when the catcher say you come to liquidation a consolidate companies in nyina boma sa company parent company na namso a consolidation and liquidation process ne ba e trigger ye no sa company ne da ho e dada na chi ntichina obetima ba befa company law ba na kire sa e no na hu say ye nam chromatibo nkosofo fa lances no any company no a come to consolidation da koto babi ntu ba na ewura dam na yi ama the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama ni decision no a decision a clear.
In this case, I have said before that banks like yours, GN Bank and UT Bank and all the other banks that were closed were indigenous banks that were dealing mostly with small and medium enterprises. And everybody knows that in the banking sector, that is the risky end of the market. And so definitely if there's going to be problems with liquidity, it's going to come from that group. And so I believe government should have handled it differently. If we had continued in government, this would not have happened. I mean, we must look at the social impact too, throwing out about 10,000 banking sector professionals. Some of them are bakers today, others are Uber drivers and all that, after all the training and education they got. I mean, there are best practices that anybody could look at. I remember the Bank of Scotland or something during the financial crisis was about to collapse with massive consequences for the British economy. And so what did Britain do? They took equity in the bank, liquefied the bank, and the bank, returned to profitability in a short while and took the equity back, paid off the loans. We could have handled it that way. And in any case, who says that all banks require a certain capital reserve? And that's why we are talking about a tiered banking system, because banks exist for different purposes. They have different objectives, and they cater to different segments of the market. Not every bank needs to be a Class A bank with capital reserves of 400 million cedis. There are small banks like, Welsh Women Banking and all those, and other banks that cater for specific segments of the market. And they don't need 400 million cedis capital because they're giving small loans like 1,000 cedis, 5,000 cedis, 2,000 cedis. They're not lending to the Unilevers of this world. And so I do think that government was hasty in what it did. If you look at the criteria that was used, I mean, it didn't fit. It was not a one-size-fits-all. I mean, it was just like different rules for different folks. And so, yes, like you said, a lot of these banks had also financed government suppliers and contractors. And government owed them, and they owed the banks. And so even if you did an offset of what was owed, then probably the liquidity issue would have been resolved. But government says, no, our contract with those people has nothing to do with you. We are dealing with you as banks. And so it's your business to recover that money. But how would they recover that money if you don't pay the contractors to pay them? And so I do think that it was hasty and it's affected indigenous capital in the financial and banking sector. And we have pledged that we would work to restore, the capital of indigenous businesses in the financial sector. And so we are advocating an independent review of the processes that went into the banking sector clean out. And where we believe these were unjustifiable, look at the restoration of the licenses of these banks. The details are being worked out by our manifesto committee. He talked about an equity fund and all that. And so those are all things that we would look at. It's a pity. I go around the country and I see those your micro little brick and tile GN banks, and they are firmly shut with padlocks. And I mean, there's no financial service to the community anymore after the closure of those little mini banks. And one would like to see them come back, because we are looking to bring as many people into the formal sector as possible, and financial services are the best way to capture, those people. And so we'll be happy to look at the petition, but like I said, I think we are speaking on the same wavelength. I know that there are some legal issues too outstanding, but it's something that we would be looking at before we come into office. And if by the grace of the votes of the Ghanaian people and by the grace of God we do come into office, you can expect that you will all get a sympathetic hearing, in trying to unravel, what has unfortunately happened. So thanks again for presenting the petition, and I wish you well. You're not looking as bad in real life as the photographs make you look out to be. There's one where you have your hands like this, and it's like the world has come to an end. But thank you very much. Thanks for the honor.